What is the first thing you think of when you think of Apple, the company?
Sweatshops.
That's not what I think of. I usually think of the same thing over and over and over again. Because if you look at the last 5 generations of Apple products, they all look almost identical to each other.
Okay.
So I always think of basically a product line that looks just like each other. And then I opened Apple TV Plus for the first time so I could watch Ted Lasso. And I had a hard time finding it because all their shows look like the last 5 generations of iPhones. The exact same.
Okay.
Apple TV Plus looks so cookie cutter on its home screen. Like, you've got all this money and you can't invest into a slightly more entertaining thumbnail for your TV shows.
Well, interestingly enough, just today I read an article written in, I want to say 2021 by the BBC, where they were in essence saying the same thing about Apple in that the content of all their TV shows look the same. That Ted Lasso was maybe the breakthrough.
That they needed.
Yeah, and it was a sleeper hit. Yeah. And it was also a movie that,
TV series.
TV series that grew by word of mouth.
I can definitely see that because I had seen clips of Ted Lasso before I even knew that it was called Ted Lasso. I just knew it was a soccer show that had some funny moments, and I didn't look into it any further. Until you said, hey, have you seen this show, Ted Lasso?
And I think I said it half a dozen times.
You did say it half a dozen times. And I was kind of hesitant because I was just like, all right, I don't know. I don't feel like getting Apple TV Plus. But eventually I caved after seeing some more of the shorts. And you know the one that got me?
Which one?
It's the scene in season 3 where Rebecca walks in and goes, Oi! Kent! My office! Now! Get your hairy ass in my office now! And he turns around like, not one of you corrected her, and every single one of you knows. I'll do a Roy Kent impression later.
Okay.
Welcome back to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Noah.
I'm Richard.
And Ted Lasso. They're talking about this.
I've been trying to get Noah to watch Ted Lasso for a couple of months, and Ted Lasso has become the go-to show at home, in our house.
Really?
Primarily because I've probably seen Ted Lasso all the way through beginning to end, all 3 seasons, 3 or 4 times.
Really? That's impressive.
Each episode that I watch, I discover something that I missed previously, and I'm laughing as hard at what's going on and enjoying it as much as the first time that I watched it.
Okay.
The thing that I kept saying to you about Ted Lasso is that it is the best written television show I have seen in a long, long time.
I will say this is Ted Lasso. This is. Here, I'm summarizing my entire thoughts into one sentence. Ted Lasso is not a perfect TV series, but it is damn close.
Yes, it is.
It is about as close to a perfect show as you can get.
Yes.
And I do have, there's one major gripe, a couple small ones, but overall, I don't have a lot of complaints about this show. It is extremely well written. It has extremely entertaining characters. It is extremely well acted.
Yes, it is.
And it has it's a full story. I think that's the thing I appreciate about it most. It's a full story, which, speaking of story, let's do a recap real quick before we jump into spoilers.
All right.
Because if you haven't seen Ted Lasso, go watch Ted Lasso. It is well worth getting a subscription to go just watch this show.
Just to watch this show. It's very definitely worth a subscription. The show follows Ted Lasso, an American college football coach who's hired to coach an English soccer team, whose owner secretly hopes his inexperience will lead it to failure, but whose folksy, optimistic leadership proves unexpectedly successful.
Yeah.
Great summary of the 3 seasons of the show.
That's a fantastic summary.
somebody from Wikipedia wrote that, and I don't know who, but it really was, pretty much captures that.
Pretty much the entire thing.
The Ted Lasso is it's just warm. It's full of heart. It's full of optimism.
Yes,
it is not unrealistically optimistic. It comes real close to it.
It comes very close to being unrealistically optimistic.
But it's very interesting because there isn't a character in the show that doesn't have a character arc that shows growth, shows challenges, shows development, shows overcoming obstacles.
There isn't a character arc that doesn't?
Yes.
Is that what you said? Okay, cool.
There isn't a character arc that doesn't do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, every character that is a major or minor character that you spend any time with, you realize they've got stuff.
They're deeper than their initial trope appears to be.
Yes.
Which is the really funny part, or really fun part about the show, is watching how they subvert your expectations. I hate that phrase with a passion, but this show does really kind of subvert your expectations all the time. So we open with Ned Flanders flying to England.
Yeah. Well, okay, so
not really, but like that's what the show looks like when you first turn it on. That was my first thought, is like, oh, Ned Flanders is about to coach soccer.
He actually makes reference to himself as Ned Flanders.
He does, in season 3.
And so this is one of the beautiful parts about this show is you have to, if you want to catch the humor, you have to have a deep, deep knowledge of
just pop culture.
Culture.
Yeah.
Because the pop culture references fly fast and furiously.
Yeah, they're fast. They're wicked fast.
They are.
They're so and they don't get tired.
No, they
occasionally
don't.
Like there's one that's like, okay, that kind of didn't hit, but I'm never tired of hearing them. It's not like Marvel where I'm sick of the quips.
Right.
It's like,
and so
because it's baked into the show's identity.
But you also, so you have a ton of Kansas City references.
100%.
Which gives you a tremendous amount of references there. There's a lot to the Chicago Bulls of the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Lasso speaks in little humorous quips like, to be sure, Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
You either know who Steve Kerr is or you don't.
Yeah.
And, you get it or you don't,
Yeah.
And Keeley, it does a perfect imitation of him with one of those. And I had it until we turned the camera on. They kind of make fun of it in between the other characters of the show, but in a wholesome, good-natured way. Here's the thing. No, here's the thing the humor is not mean. So many American sitcoms, the humor is mean. It's cutting. It makes fun of each other.
There is some. There is some, but not. It's well balanced when it's used. It's well balanced.
Where do they use it? Where do they?
Roy Kent going,
well, Roy Kent is Roy Kent.
You f***ing ruined him. He's not a prick anymore. He needs to be a prick.
We're probably going to either have
There's a lot of censors where it's Ted Lasso. Surprisingly, for the amount of swearing that is in this show, it's... like you said, it's kind of not, like normally you would associate that with being crass or grotesque or mean-spirited, but there's a lot of swearing.
It's very casual.
It's very casual,
right?
And none of the above, none of those three.
Yes,
it's it's just.
And so that's one of the things. That's one of the things that it would stamp an R rating on a movie if it were a movie, but it's cable TV, so they can get away with
streaming
it.
TV. They can get away with whatever they want on streaming.
But one of the things that I love about the writing of Ted Lasso is that they set up scenarios and jokes in season 1 that pay off in season 3. And this is the beauty of binging. You don't have to wait 3 years to remember the joke, right? I mean, you can get it if you're watching all the way through.
There's constant callbacks to the first couple episodes at the very end.
The whole concept of the Ussie.
Yes,
right?
The Ussie.
Which
sounds like a sex move. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's an actual British term, but an Ussie. I'm sorry. There's some
Hey.
Hi, Studio Dogs.
Studio Dogs have lost their mind, and they're right outside the gate here, and they are doing a toenail dance on the linoleum.
Yeah.
Well, so the Ussie. Everybody
Ussie,
knows you
yes.
take a camera, you take a picture of yourself.
It's a selfie.
Or you say, hey, let's get a selfie together.
Yeah.
Well, there's a character that calls it an Ussie, and he makes an appearance in the first episode.
Midway through, he makes an appearance in all 3 seasons.
He does.
He makes one at the barbershop with Jamie.
Yes, he does.
Season 2.
Yes, he does.
And then he makes one in the very last episode as well.
Well, he makes one in his house during Christmas dinner.
Yes, he does.
During Christmas dinner,
yes,
right?
he does.
Yeah. Right? And then you get the very last episode. And it's just, he's such a happy character. He's so innocent.
So many of them are.
Yeah,
so many
exactly.
of them are. They
Is there a character in Ted Lasso that you find so unpleasant that you don't want to see?
No.
Right? Even the big bad guy of this show, Rupert.
I guess Rupert would be the only one.
But he's so well acted.
Well, that what's that actor's name? Because he was in Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. He was big. I recognized him immediately.
I had don't think I had ever seen
because I have
him
not like
before.
I've never seen like a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've seen like a couple episodes of it, but I did recognize him immediately. He just plays a douche so well.
Yeah, and I'm
betting
he's someone who is like super, super nice.
Behind
the scenes.
Probably.
Yeah, and so
but no, there is no single character. Oh no, Jane.
Anthony.
I was kind of sick of Jane.
Anthony
by the end
Head
of
is Rupert Mannion.
Anthony Head, that's his name.
Right.
Yeah. Jane. I was kind of sick of Jane by the end of the series. Beard's girlfriend.
Oh, Jane.
The jokes were funny. They did get a little old, a little bit. I think they played into it just a tad too much. I think they used it too often. I think they made too many. I think like it felt like for a while there, every episode was a joke about them being back and forth in the most extreme manner. And I think if they had spaced it out a little bit more, it would have. It wouldn't have gotten tiring. But that's a minor complaint.
Let's talk
about the actual story, some arcs, or what are we talking about?
No, Coach Beard.
Yeah, Coach
Beard is the sleeper of the show.
Yeah.
He is hysterically funny.
Yes.
Coach Beard is played by Brendan Hunt. Willis Beard, Lasso's grounded longtime assistant coach and friend who hails from Peoria, Illinois. And I think the interesting thing is
through there a lot.
you only know him as Coach Beard until one time Ted Lasso looks at him and says, "What you talking about, Willis?" And you find out that
it's the very last episode.
Yeah, you know, that his name is Willis, but the character has an incredible variety of vocal expressions. His
backstory, because they keep just throwing random things. He's like,
backstory is hysterical.
3 times tomahawk throwing chip, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that baby delivery.
Oh, it's so good.
Right? He's
enthusiastic.
He's an ex-con.
Yeah, he's an ex-con.
The thing about
tied in at the very end so well.
Oh goodness!
In such an emotional moment, like this show had so much emotion behind it too, especially in the last season. Of course, they're wrapping up all these plot lines, and the last season is going to be the most emotional. But I think what the most impressive thing about this show is, it made me give a fuck about soccer. Not that I want to go watch soccer games, as I've said, and I will continue to say, and I think they make this joke in the show. If I want to go watch a bunch of men struggle to score for 90 minutes, I'll take my friends to a bar. So, but it does its job as a sports show, or as a sports movie and other content, It makes me care about the players, and every time those guys had a win, it was like, yes!
Yeah.
Let's go!
Yes.
It felt earned, it felt real, it felt good. So,
There's a theme in this show.
There's a lot of themes in this show
that I think is the overarching theme to the entire show.
Yeah.
And it is a show of love and forgiveness. This concept of you never know what the other person is going through.
Okay.
And that you need to give people second chances.
Yeah.
Right? And give them the opportunity to have second chances and to understand that we always don't know what another person is going through. So sometimes when they act out, they're acting out because of the baggage that they're carrying.
Yeah.
And give them a second chance because they might figure out a way of emptying out that baggage, and then suddenly you see the other side of them.
Yeah.
And there's the best example of that is Nathan Shelley, the assistant coach.
Yeah, it's the most blatant one.
Right,
yeah.
this is the most blatant one. And
God, I hated him in season, what was it, 2? Where he turned, no, season 3, right at the beginning of season 3.
Right, where he
like,
turns.
you just don't like him at the beginning of that. Like, you understand, like, there's nothing in the show that, like, truly surprised me. I kind of saw a lot of these plot threads.
Okay.
Before they, were revealed. I got the vibe off of Rebecca, who we'll talk about later. I got the vibe off of Rebecca immediately. I was like, oh, either she has something to prove or she's sabotaging this. And I was like, first episode, few minutes, the way she was talking, I was like, it's one of the two.
Okay.
It's one of the two. And then, of course, 2 minutes later, I'm going to destroy this club. And,
Right.
So I knew where Nathan was going, but the writing and the acting made me really dislike Nathan in those episodes. I was like, you fucking prick.
All right. So,
So,
you say, the writing and the acting. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this series is that these were all fresh faces on the screen for me.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody that I looked at and said, oh, I know this person from.
Rebecca.
I didn't.
Hannah. I can never pronounce her last name, but Waddingham. Yeah, I recognized her immediately. But that was the only one.
Well,
Fall Guy.
I had seen her on Ted Lasso before Fall Guy.
Yeah.
So what I didn't realize was I had seen her in Game of Thrones.
Yes,
but she wears a habit.
Yeah.
And you can't. I did not recognize her, for who she was. But her voice. Oh my goodness, can that woman sing? She got some chops.
Yeah.
Very definitely worth looking up on YouTube, Hannah Waddingham and just her singing. She's got an incredible voice.
Oh, yeah. I think she did Broadway for a little bit.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
But I learned Jeremy Swift, who is absolutely fantastic in this. I've never seen Phil Dunster before as Jamie Tart.
Oh, the bar lady, the old bar girl. I recognized her from Doctor Who. Anyone who has seen Christopher Eccleston's run as Doctor Who should recognize her, because she was in a couple episodes of early New Who.
Who's not even 2. Different.
Okay,
sorry. Sorry, different. I had her name down here. Annette Badland as May Green, the Bub's landlady. Yeah, she's hysterical. Yeah. She's great. I had never seen her before, but it was one fresh face after another for me, and I love that.
And they're all incredibly talented. They're all incredibly talented actors and actresses, and they're putting on an incredible show as they go. The characters all get their times to shine, their times to fall, their times to struggle. The development is really good. I found it impressive how well they did the endlessly optimistic trope. One of the hardest things to do is write a character like Superman or Captain America or someone who has to be endlessly positive like that, right? Mm-hmm. Like your stereotypical one. Like the goody two-shoes, the Boy Scout. And Ted Lasso falls into a similar vein where he shows up and he's endlessly optimistic. And that's a hard character to find challenges for, because getting over certain situations is a lot, from a writing standpoint, doesn't seem to be the easiest based on how other people handle these characters. So they did a great job of giving him an internal struggle by acknowledging something.
Yes.
Which is the phenomenon that a lot of people are familiar with is that sometimes the happiest person in your life is the most hurt or has been the most hurt.
Yes.
One of those.
Because they're hiding.
Yes, they're
it's
hiding.
a mask and they're hiding.
Yes.
There's a whole
Which is kind of his entire
plot.
story.
Well,
with another one added on to it for good measure, but
they have a whole plot of the team brings in a therapist, and how the therapist helps every person on the team that sits in her office. And she says when she shows up, she asks Ted Lasso, "Are you good at your job?" And he's one of his happy-go-lucky deflection responses, and she says, "Cut the bullshit. Are you a good coach?" And he says, "Yes, I think I am." She says, "I'm 10 times better as a therapist." And then she proves it. And then they give her an emotional challenge that she has to overcome.
Yes, they do.
Because
they balanced it, and that's what's great about it, because otherwise she would have been an annoying character for half of it.
yeah, she would have.
She would have, with how much that they used her in comparison to the plot.
Yes.
But no, they counterbalanced it, and that's what's great about it, because any character in that situation would have been annoying. Like, they gave time for Trent Krim, the Independent, to come back and redeem himself 10 times over.
Oh, the Trent Krim character is one of the best secondary characters in this series.
He was so fun, and his deadpan deliveries and his constant remarks were just so fun. And he's one of the most important side characters in the early story, because he shows the depth of the character writing, even of the side characters. Because one of the big challenges in the story is convincing people that Ted Lasso is a good coach, which he is a good coach. He's just not a good soccer coach in terms of the strategy of soccer.
Right.
But the dude has what it takes to be a good coach. We get it right from the beginning. He's got he's got every tool in the book to be a good coach, because what do coaches do? They inspire and lead their players. They encourage them. They build them up into better people.
Yes.
He's approaching this with a good old college football, American football attitude of build these guys into better men. That's the approach that he takes. So we know that he's got that skill.
Yes.
Now he just needs to prove it. And he doesn't worry about proving it. He knows that he takes the approach if it's going to work out one way or another.
Well,
and
but to a fault.
Yeah, to a fault. And that's
one of the things he says repeatedly is it's not about wins and losses. It's about making these men better versions of themselves. And Coach Beard calls
him out on it.
He calls him out on it.
Which is great.
And he says it is about wins and losses. And May, the barmaid, calls him out about it. It is about wins and losses.
This means something. And anyone who has been at all invested in any professional sports team knows there's pride in the team that you follow.
Yes.
Their history, their rivalries, when they win, when they lose. It's probably part of the reason I hate living in Kansas City, but that's a rant for another time.
The success of the Kansas City Chiefs was one of the biggest struggling points of owning a small business. If they played on a Thursday night, if they played on a Saturday, my store was empty. They killed my business because the fan base was
because you weren't
at
a bar.
Home. We weren't. But May makes the point in there. When they're winning, her bar is packed,
full
and when
packed,
they're losing,
it's
exactly
right. So the show just takes so much time to not just develop the characters, but challenge them in so many different ways. Completely, change their perspectives and show how each character's actions affects everyone around them, the people around them, and beyond.
Right.
It's incredible how well it's all balanced. And it's all funny at the same time while doing that, because, man, I mean, who didn't want a celebrity dating show parody called, what was it, Lust Island or something?
Lust Island, yes.
With JamieTott.
So I think one of the things that got me to watch Ted Lasso, which made me, because your mom and I, who could never agree on television shows to watch, and I was trying to get her to watch this, right? And so I sent her a clip on Instagram.
Okay.
And it is the clip of the bar scene where he's throwing darts against Rupert
which is a
Mannion,
great
right?
scene.
It's an incredible scene where he talks about learning how the realization in his life that people were judging him and dismissing him without even knowing him, without being curious and without asking a question. And he does it while playing darts. And what you find out is that he has hoodwinked Rupert Mannion because he
completely card sharked him.
He did.
He completely pool sharked him.
He's an excellent darts player, and he got this guy to play him, and he wins. There's one part about that scene that I'm going to have to go back and look because it's been bugging me.
Okay.
And if any of you know darts and know darts scoring well, please share the comment and explain this to me. The game is double in, double out. And the only way you can win double in, double out with a bullseye is if last shot, you need 50 points. I believe.
I think that's what they said. Is that?
Well, he said he needed 2 triple 20s and a bullseye. But if he missed the bullseye and he got something else, then he would have needed a different double to get out.
Yeah.
So I want to know, in double in, double out, can you go out on a bullseye? It's otherwise an incredible scene. And
it's a fantastic scene.
And I shoot that scene to your mom, and she's like, "Yeah, okay, we need to watch this."
Oh man, yeah.
So, the sleeper, Sam Obisanya.
Sam Obisanya is fantastic. Also, all right. So here's where I get into my first nitpick.
Okay, nitpick. Toheeb Jamon,
not because of Sam Obisanya,
an incredible performance.
Oh my!
And nobody,
so good.
Nobody should be allowed to be as good looking as he was on camera. That is a good-looking young man. Oh, my goodness.
They gave them all so many good outfits in this show, too.
Oh, yes, they dressed him well. Yes. Great character. You were going to say you're going to nitpick on Sam Obisanya?
No, more of the plot lines in Season 3, but you just reminded me of Hannah is a very, very attractive older woman. She aged well.
Yep.
No, so in Season 3, because Sam gets a big thing in Season 3, I love the character stories. The thing about Season 3, this is where I'm starting to get into the nitpick, is that they started doing stories that reflected reality with less subtlety than they had done in Seasons 1 and 2. Specifically, the big celebrity leak thing, which I know that they're playing into real-world events and real-world happenings and exploring these ideas, but the big nudes leak that happens to Keeley, that was an actual thing that happened in real life.
To whom?
Several hundred female celebrities.
Oh,
and it happened on Reddit and 4chan, and it's not hard to find information on it. And I'm not saying that these things shouldn't be discussed or handled or whatever, and for what they were doing, they did it extremely well. It's just that they were more subtle and nuanced, and they were less obvious in Seasons 1 and 2, and they flowed into the season and the characters better. But in Season 3, when they were doing stories like that, like Sam's story in Season 3 and Keely's story in Season 3 with those big events, I was like, all right, you're taking a couple real world things and just putting these characters into it. Instead of like Season 1 and 2, they would take the real world phenomenon and put it into the characters. So I think the writing kind of fell a little bit there, not horrendously so, but
gotcha,
just a little bit.
Well, so one of the things that I liked about the writing,
but it was really only those two that were like super stood out obvious.
See, and
again, they were incredibly well written. But
I didn't know anything about those real world situations. So for me, because I don't think I've ever been on Reddit.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's probably smart. That's probably wise.
Substack. I mean,
It's probably
in
wise.
fact, your brother has actively advised me to avoid it at all costs.
We only have one just to make sure we have the domain. So that no one can create one and pretend to be us there.
Gotcha.
That's the only reason we have one.
Oh, I didn't even know we had one.
Yeah, and we have a page.
Really?
Yeah, we have an account.
And we don't use it?
No.
Hmm.
I don't know how to use it.
Oh.
I just grabbed it.
So there's a couple things. There's something that I hate in modern entertainment, and it's one of the reasons why I kind of stopped participating for a long time, is that I don't like being lectured. I don't like being preached to, and I don't like feeling like someone's beating me over the head with something. And the beautiful part about Ted Lasso is they explored real world issues with humanity, and you never felt like you were being preached.
No.
And I'll tell you the storyline that I loved the most, absolutely loved it. Colin.
I knew it was going to be Colin. Because it's a beautiful story.
It's a really beautiful story.
It is a really well told story. It's so good, and the actors, all the actors involved in it, because Trent's involved in it,
right?
And then the captain. McAdoo is involved in it,
yes.
And eventually everyone's kind of involved in it, and it's so well done. It's so well handled.
You have a storyline of a gay character who's in the closet. His teammates don't know he's struggling with it, and he runs this gamut of emotions, and then this character Trent Krim discovers this reporter, and then you find out that Trent is gay, but these are characters that you like. You're already invested in them, and that's the beautiful thing is you get invested in the humanity of the person, and the sexual preference becomes secondary to who they are as a person,
because they're telling a story that plays into
exactly,
and it's just and they do it so well, and they do it so not just well, they do it so respectfully.
With so much humanity and so much love.
Yeah, it's such yeah,
right.
Like they represent so much in this show, like true diversity in this show across everything,
right.
And it's so well handled. It's so well implemented. It's done so well. 90% of Hollywood wishes they had the talent to write the stories as well as these guys did. Like.
What he just said.
Jeez.
Yes.
It's so well done. This is how you do it, guys. Take notes.
It is. It's so well done.
So well done.
I thought maybe the performance of McAdoo in that, with his anger and the way he bottled it up.
It was a little over the top.
It was a little over the top, but
it felt a little forced on the writing end. But, again, minor complaint when the whole story was so well done otherwise.
Well, and the respect that is shown to everybody involved. They did the same thing. There is the relationship between Sam and Rebecca. You not only have a 25-year age difference between these two, but you have an interracial age difference, and they handled it with...
And a boss-employee dynamic.
Yeah, and it's handled with class.
And maturity.
And you're rooting for them.
Sam is like the MVP of the whole freaking show, because that man had eternal patience.
Yes, he
and
did.
I loved his dad. When his dad shows up,
his dad is fantastic. His dad is fantastic. So speaking of dads, and gosh, this comes into so much in society, because I mean, all through our One Piece comments, the subject matter, there is this running theme in father-son relationships. Ted Lasso's relationship with his father, Jamie Tartt's relationship with his father,
his lack of a father, and his grandfather,
right? His
Jamie. I heard Roy. My bad. Jamie.
Jamie's relationship with his father. You're right. Roy's lack of a father and relationship with his grandfather, and
Rebecca has a big thing with her father. There's a whole theme of fatherhood, and it ties back in because Ted Lasso is kind of like the perfect dad. He's like they don't. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a dad, but I didn't see anything that was like he was a bad dad or made fun of him as a parent.
No.
Like there was no insulting.
What a refreshing treatment of fathers and fatherhood.
Yeah.
Because fathers are a punching bag in so many American sitcoms.
Yeah, they are.
You know, this trope of the oblivious father, please save me.
He's the opposite.
Exactly.
He's an almost overbearing father in terms of like how much he cares. He's almost, sorry, not overbearing. He's almost a helicopter dad.
Almost. But
he's also separated by, you know, an ocean and like a massive time zone difference.
Yes. And trying so hard to make it work, keep a relationship with his son when his son lives in Kansas and he lives in England.
Yes.
But they go in depth to explore how troubled relationships between fathers and sons play out in the adult lives, and some in a healthy way. They gave. I'm going to get choked up on this one. They gave the treatment of Jamie Tartt's relationship with his father so much justice at the end of the series. Sorry.
Yes, it did. They did.
And so you get this.
Oh boy,
this multi-layered writing, and they do it so well.
The end of the series is just so emotional and so many beats because they tied so much together.
Yes.
Well, they do. They also fake you out with Jamie Tartt and his dad. They fake you out because they make you. Because there's the game. They go to, where is it?
Doesn't matter.
They go to the stadium of his dad's. It's United.
Right.
It's United. They go to United and he's looking around for his dad. That's the big episode where he's like, all right, you know what? I have nothing to prove to him. I'm just going to go play. And because that was such a beautifully handled story at the end of it. That was his last piece of character. Really his last piece of character, aside from getting over Keeley. And his dad's friends are in the crowd and they fake you out with his dad's friends going, you know, he would have been proud.
Right.
Would have. They say would have. And then they immediately undo it by cutting to him in the recovery home.
You know.
Like, watching the game, and it's like, all right, you had me for 2 seconds there.
And then you get this interesting thing. Jamie Tartt, his dad's an alcoholic. He's got this horrible relationship with him. His dad has just humiliated him and mocked him.
His dad is a lowlife who stumbled into helping create an all-star football player and is now trying to... God, they have me calling it football now. So he has this all-star soccer player as a son, and he wants to use that. You know, he wants to milk that for all it's worth, essentially.
While his son resents him.
Yeah.
And does. So they have this scene. His father's not in the stadium. Jamie gets hurt on the field. He's sitting on the sideline. He can't, decide whether or not to go in. He's looking for his father on the sideline, and Ted Lasso walks up to him, and he basically says, if hating your father isn't enough motivation for you to play anymore, then maybe you ought to try forgiving him. And Jamie Tartt's, answer was, I'm not giving him that. And he says, no, that's not something you give him. That's something you give yourself. That lesson that when you forgive someone, you free yourself from carrying so much baggage.
Because here's the thing. One of the things that they kind of show in this thing is that they do it in the first season with Jamie and Roy, who, by the way, is my spirit animal. If you can't tell. No, he's my spirit animal. I need that shirt. Roy Kent is my spirit animal. With a censor bar in the middle is my bleeping spirit animal. That'd be great. In the very first, the big clash where Ted's like, no, you two need to make up at some point. Like, you don't have to be buddy, but you have to at least make up. And they make up, and it's realistic because who's going to be best friends after a major fight where that big sit down, here's what I have wrong with you. Here's what you have wrong with me. All right, we cool, move on. No one's perfect after that. And they still fight and bicker after that. A lot. It takes another season and a half for them to get to the point where you could even consider them friends.
Right.
Remotely close to friends. And that's one of the things is that yes, forgiveness is not a gift to them. It's a gift for yourself, because you can forgive someone and still never want to see them again.
Yes, you can.
That's a perfectly reasonable stance to have. It's like, you know what? I'm over this. I'm not going to hold this grudge anymore, but I also don't want to ever see you again. That's a perfectly reasonable. It's so mature in so many ways across this whole thing. Rebecca kind of goes through the same thing. She just eventually lets it go. And because she realizes that, first she realizes holding the grudge isn't worth it. And then she realizes she's still letting him have more power over her. And then she finally gets to the point where I was saying at the very beginning of the show, this is the other thing. Once we realized what her motivation was, I was like, okay, so how many seasons is it going to take for her to realize that kicking Rupert's ass in football is going to sting worse than ruining his club?
Yes.
And that was the thing that I was waiting for. That was a part of her development.
Okay, so while you're talking, and I am listening to you, I'm looking for a name, and I don't think I have it. A couple of scene stealers in this. Elodie Blomfeld played Phoebe, Roy's niece. That young actress stole just about every scene she was in. She's absolutely hysterical. Roy is primarily responsible for caring for his sister's daughter because there's no father, and the sister is an ER doctor, and so she's called away all the time.
Yes,
and this kid is a riot. Blomfield's performance is absolutely fantastic.
Two notes.
Yes.
I'm really glad they got the "We're not in Kansas anymore" line out of the way right at the beginning, and they never touched it again.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I still think you didn't need it.
Yeah, but okay.
You know what? Whatever. You know, people from Kansas, we hate it. We hate that line. If someone says they're from Kansas, don't say that. Don't say it unless you really want to see someone be annoyed. I don't know. Maybe you're an instigator. No, the line that sold me on the show immediately is right after they meet. Where Ted calls her Mrs. Welton, and she goes, "Oh no, Mrs. Welton's my father."
Yes,
that's the line that got. I was like,
that was brutal.
That was a funny line. I was like, I was rolling on the floor at that point. All right, and that's where I was like, all right, I'm watching this whole series. I don't care. I'm watching this whole thing.
I wanted to see Roy develop, and if there is a season 4 in the works, and if when you want
is there?
Yes, there is.
There
is. And no, I know all the concerns that you're having.
Yep.
But this is a talented writing team, and I know the direction that they're going. I'm not going to say it, and the direction that they're going is good. Also,
I want you to tell me after this, but okay.
Time.
Okay, time gap, time jump.
There can be. I don't know if there is, but there could be a time
because
jump.
There is one massive issue I have with this show.
Oh,
and I don't know.
You want to go with that yet?
Do you want to finish?
Well, I got a couple other things that I wanted to point out while we're doing this.
Because there's one thing that they have a chance to fix.
Rebecca has a friend from childhood named Sassy.
I love Sassy!
Ellie Taylor is the actress. She's absolutely fantastic. Her sequences with Ted and their short
Marlboro
love affair,
Man.
and her daughter, and now I cannot not only can I not remember the name of her daughter.
Can't find her.
But I can't find her in my notes.
Her daughter was great.
Her daughter is absolutely fantastic. I don't want to do an injustice to the actress who plays her daughter, but you get this introduction where Ted walks in the office and they meet for the first time, and she's sitting at the desk, and he says, "Boy, I'd like to be a fly on the wall during that conversation," and something like that. And he says, "I've never seen a horse." She says, "I've never seen a horse fly. I saw one pee once." and the beautiful she says, "I saw one pee once. It was a lot."
Yeah,
and you get pivots in the script where you really can't see the next joke coming because they just turn on a dime and go in another direction. Anyways, the performance of Sassy's daughter is absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely hysterical. Absolutely fantastic. No. And that leads one of the more emotional. You were talking about Hannah's singing chops earlier. First off, this was produced by Warner Brothers. How did they get the rights to let it go? And then, even better, fit it into the story so fucking perfectly. I think that song fit better in Ted Lasso than it did in the movie it was originally from.
Nora. Kiki
yes.
May.
Yes.
Another scene stealer.
Yeah.
Just about every scene she's in. The kid actors are absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
They
Although she could be an adult and I don't even know it. Anyways,
I don't know.
Yeah. That's that. Nora,
but yeah,
Kiki
no, they
May.
tied a rival company's song from one of their biggest movies ever into a scene, and I think it fits better in that scene than it did in the original movie. I think Let It Go fits Ted Lasso in that scene better than it fit in Frozen.
Money.
Hot take? I don't know.
Money in
I mean, yeah, obviously a lot of money.
but
I want to see that check.
But also it's not doing any damage.
No, it's not doing any damage.
At all.
No.
I mean, it really isn't.
No, it's not. I'm just like, it's funny that it's Warner Brothers that...
Adita Budnick is Jade, the hostess that was Nate's girlfriend in season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Another sleeper performance. Real good actress.
Yeah. Yeah.
Played the character perfectly. Just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. So I was just hitting some that stick out there.
The whole cast sends in no one's phoning it in. Ever.
No.
There's not. I don't think there's a single bad performance. Really. I think the pub crawlers are a little.
Pub crawlers are fun, especially
fun.
when they get let into the stadium late at night.
I kind of missed the in the first season. There was the schoolgirl who was teaching Ted soccer. I was kind of sad they didn't bring her back, but I'm assuming that actress got busy.
I'm hoping she got busy. She was a great bit player who every time Ted leaves his apartment, she's out there kicking a ball around. She's fantastic. Their interplay is fantastic. I'm off camera. I will tell you where I hope they're bringing her back because it ties into what I think they're doing with season 4.
Oh.
Remember the final scene?
Yep, I remember that.
Keely's
okay,
proposal.
yep, I remember that. Yep.
That's the direction they're going.
All right, cool.
That's the direction they're going.
It could be good.
It could be excellent.
It could be amazing.
Yes. They want to bring that character for that.
Ooh, that would be really good.
Yeah, you tracking on that now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to see her teach Ted more about soccer.
I would have
to make
loved
him better
that
as a soccer coach.
And then if there's since I'm on this role of character actors, and then I will stop. All right, Cristo Fernandez is Danny Rojas.
Oh my god, Danny Rojas. Was amazing. I was so excited when he showed up.
He was fantastic.
There was just energy in every scene, and then the rivalry with the Canadian player Zorro,
right,
into Van Damme, into Zorro,
right. and Danny Rojas is just this absolutely fantastic player. Apparently, Cristo Fernandez played soccer in Mexico.
I would imagine a lot of these guys at least have a background.
Well,
I mean, most commonly played sport in the world.
I think I read that he got injured and ended his career. Like he was in a professional soccer, right?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Danny Rojas is absolutely hysterical.
Sports choreography is one of the hardest things to do in film without getting pros or people with experience to come in and just do it. That's a case where you hire someone not for what they can do on screen, but what they can do on a field.
Did you notice that every time
Which is why every goalie in this show sucked.
Okay, that's exactly where I was going. That is
I was going that way, I did going that way.
They made Van Damme look like the world's worst goalie every time someone scored against him.
Until the last season where he's just blocking everything.
And he's incredible. And
they did that. Okay, so there's my first gripe. These are supposed to be pro players.
Right.
Maybe not world level players yet. But these guys are supposed to be like really good. They're hyping them up. They're like, Roy, he's a champion.
Right.
Jamie Tart, going to be another champion. Like a lot of these guys, they're hyping them up in universe as these are going to be some all-stars.
Right.
And they just kick their ass every other episode. And it's real. At one point, I'm just sitting here like, are they really that good?
Have you ever
I know
seen?
the-
Have you ever seen a Major League Baseball team stack their team with great players and still lose at the end of the season and not go into the playoffs? It happens to everybody but the New York Yankees. No, actually, it happens to the Yankees too. So
You could have ended that sentence as, "Have you ever seen a Major League Baseball team?" Because I'm telling.
You don't watch baseball?
Nope.
No? Okay.
I barely watch football these days. So,
but they made the goalies
them
look really bad.
Yeah, they did.
And
Yeah.
but
that's a natural part of filming sports. It's hard, especially on a TV.
Well,
budget.
I guess here's one of my complaints against it, and I don't know. Maybe this is an American way of looking at professional sports. I don't know, but the coach would have been benched or fired after season 2, and the goalie would have been benched or replaced. Continually playing that bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously you can't do that for story reasons, and the relationship with Rebecca behind the scenes and all that fun stuff. But yeah, no. No, my big complaint.
Yes.
And I've been saving this because I don't know if this is going to be one of those moments where we're in like firm, staunch disagreement, but I'll say what it is. I'll give my reasons.
Okay.
I'll let you get your reasons, but I'm not about to get into a to on this because I don't think if we're opposed as the way I think it is,
really good.
If it's opposed in the way I think it is, that won't be worth actually going into a back and forth.
Just say it.
They should have won. They should have won the whole damn thing, and they didn't. And it's disappointing as an audience watching because, as I just said, you watch 2.5 seasons of these guys just getting their ass handed to them. And when they finally get it together, they go on their winning streak, they go all the way, they win the final game of the season, they're going to move up into the next league. Just give them the fucking trophy already. All you needed to do was change one line in the script. Oh yeah, United or whatever, Manchester won off screen. So they don't get their trophy because you just had to make them. These writers wanted to make their characters suffer. It's impressive. They're rivaling Spider-Man writers. Those guys do not want Peter Parker to ever be happy. Every time something good happens in that dude's life, the writers are just like, ooh, how can we make him suffer? They're like fucking vampires that feed off the torment of a fictional character. And these writers are rivaling them with how much pain they put them through. You couldn't have just given them the damn trophy at the end of this series. All right? We got that mess. I get why they didn't. It ties back into it's not about winning or losing. And it ties back in at the end because they're all happy that they at least moved up. And they didn't need the trophy to be happy. But for fuck's sake, Ted said he was going to get the trophy. His son built him a little Lego trophy to put in the stadium. It's annoying as an audience member to watch these guys suffer so much and see the top ripped away from them just because the writer felt like putting in one extra line of dialogue. I've said it. We saw this storyline in Cars. It worked in Cars for a reason. It was unnecessary here. You could have done it. There's my hot take. Just give him the trophy.
If I had hair, it would be blown backwards right now.
Yes, it would. I feel better now. I've been holding that in since I finished this show. You're so hyped up at the end, and then they are just like, yeah, they won it at the end. And you're just like, really? Really? Come on. Oh, also, they didn't put Rebecca's photo on the wall. I was kind of disappointed they didn't do that. On the owner's wall. They didn't put her up. They never show us. It might be up there in like a background shot at some point, but it would have been nice to see it go up there. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I missed that, but yeah, that is my biggest complaint with the series.
Do I get to respond?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
You did?
I'm happy. I have said my piece. I have said my piece. Agree? Disagree?
I disagree.
I figured you would.
Okay.
I actually was prepared for that.
Right. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, shush, and the wisdom to know the difference. That was the serenity prayer in action.
Yeah.
If the only way they could have gotten the whole thing was if another team lost, and that's called backing into the trophy, and they didn't want the team to back in. And so backing into the trophy, they did everything they could. They took care of their business. They took care of their house. They succeeded. They did what they needed to do. Everything else was dependent on someone else. I'm glad they didn't back in, and I'm glad that they had the success of knowing that they could do it. And also, it made it easier for Ted to leave, and Ted had to go back home to his son. Had to.
I was fine with that. I was fine with him going back. I was fine with that.
There's my not hot take.
Nope, I stand by it. The only reason they were in that position, where they would have backed into a win, is because the writers wrote it that way. The writers could have put it all on the line down to one game just as easily with changing 2 lines of dialogue. They could have done it. This is completely on the writers. I was disappointed that they just couldn't let them have it all after so much. But that's it.
So there's a couple relationships. Well, one relationship in particular that if there is a season 4, I would like to see them explore. Roy Kent is a person who doesn't believe that he deserves good things in his life, and he ends up destroying an incredible relationship with Keely.
Yes.
But if you notice, every scene he has with Phoebe's kindergarten teacher.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
Oh, there is sexual tension flying in those
intentionally
scenes. And I want to see that relationship explored.
So do I.
I would love to see him have a successful relationship.
So do I.
Right?
Yep.
And whoever the actress is that plays the teacher.
She was hilarious.
Okay. They call Roy in to deal with an issue because Phoebe is swearing in class. And I think one of these classic scenes between these two, right, is they're sitting there and she's saying, Phoebe's swearing a lot. Do you have any idea where she's getting that from? And he's like, no. Roy says the F-bomb every other word.
I got no f***ing idea.
And she looks at him, she's like, and he's, me? And he's like, yes. But the thing that was so funny was she called another student an apathetic shitfucker.
Yeah.
And he says, is he? And she says, yeah, but that's not the point. I think I had to stop the video at that point so that I didn't miss the rest of the scene, right?
Oh, yeah.
The film is loaded.
The TV
so
many pause the show moments.
Yes. They do this wonderful job of taking a character with not the highest level of self-confidence and turning her into a very successful businesswoman, and that's Keely Jones.
Yeah, Keely's incredible.
Keely is amazing.
You think she's just going to be the stereotypical dumb model character.
Right.
No, they just really give her time to grow and show her chops across the board.
So, in all of this, I think we've done a real good job of not destroying so much that if you've never watched Ted Lasso...
I think most of the major plot lines would be intact. Yeah,
are intact. There's so much to see. There's so many layers to this.
Yeah, there is.
If you have not seen Ted Lasso, see it. If you don't want to... what did we do? We found it through Apple TV, through Amazon Prime. That's how we watched it. And very definitely worth every penny we spent.
It's worth watching. Yeah. It's worth.
And I'm excited about season 4. If the writing is as sharp and as well handled as the first 3 seasons were, season 4 will be fantastic.
Can you just come back and win something, please? Just come back and let him win. Just let him win. Also, that ending scene was obviously not shot in Kansas City. Just find it. The ending scenes in Kansas City.
I was
not shot in Kansas City because if it had been a kids' soccer, it would have been shot at the Shields complex. If they really wanted to do it in Kansas City, you can Google it. Is it that right? Somewhere in that direction. Ted Lasso. It's amazing. like I said at the beginning of this video, it's damn near perfect.
Where were the final scenes of Ted Lasso shot?
Probably Atlanta or LA.
Oh, no. Where were the American soccer scenes filmed in Ted Lasso? Selhurst Park Stadium, SkyX Community Stadium, and potentially London Stadium, all in or near London, England. Where was Ted Lasso's house in Ted Lasso?
It's in Kansas. It's going to say Kansas State. Anyway.
Unpaved court, a pedestrian thoroughfare in Richmond, London.
So they basically shot everything. Yeah, okay.
There we go.
All right.
There we go.
So.
Just got to figure out the right question to ask.
Yeah, Ted Lasso. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it is damn close.
There is only one television series that prevents me from saying that this is the best.
I swear to God, if you say Homicide: Life on the Street.
Well, thank you for tuning in to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. What are your thoughts on Ted Lasso if you have seen it? If not, why are you at this point in the video? If you have, go watch it. If you've made it this far in this video talking about it, go watch it. Just go watch it. Just do it. I mean, you stuck around this long, go watch it. You deserve it.
If you enjoy what we're yakking about here, hit the subscribe button, leave your comments down below. And in your comments, everybody ask him to please go watch Homicide: Life on the Streets.
I've seen Homicide: Life on the Street.
All of it?
Not all of it. I've seen a lot of it.
Watch it. You haven't seen season 3?
No.
Oh, it's incredible.
I don't know.
Oh, it's incredible.
I bet. All right. And leave any of your suggestions for future material to cover in the comments down below. I will auto ban Homicide: Life on the Street in the comments section. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches.
Bye.